of the 5 branches of the United States military was designed to train soldiers in skills needed to operate in overseas combat environments, including maneuvering through civilian populations. It is also the largest military training exercise ever performed on domestic soil. Although every 2 years there are tactics practiced for preparedness, this one mostly stood out for its motives of practice and the map that was released labeling areas as hostile. So we do have an image for which they use for a drill, and it shows which areas were labeled hostile and stuff like that, like Texas and Utah, and then the bottom portion of California were named hostile, like the entire state of Texas, entire state of Utah, and just a little bit of California. The blue states were labeled permissive. The brown, which was Nevada, Colorado, and California. Then there was a brown state that was meant uncertain, that it was leaning hostile, which was New Mexico. Then there was a light blue one that was leaning friendly, but still kind of uncertain, and that was Arizona. So we'll link that image up on the Patreon thing for you guys to take a look at.
So just going to point out that July is the 7th month of the year. September's the 9th. 7 plus 9. 9 plus 7 is 16. 1 times 6 is 6. Another 6 in the dates in itself. Just saying. I'm a numbers person. I told you that. Not financial, but in the way the universe speaks. And that's something.
Sweet. I don't personally dig the number stuff, but hey, it's, it's all good. I mean, I can see the coincidences. I see the coincidences, and the universe may be speaking through those numbers, as a symbol maybe.
Yes. That's how I see it.
I get you. I get you.
I also, for the 100th time today, found a video that goes into Jade Helm a little different than how we just went over. It actually talks about how that is a decoy. That map that Aaron just went over was to distract us to talk about, why did they label Texas as hostile? So that they can actually play out their real plan, which is using a computer system called Jade. And it uses the Skynet to operate from. And since her name is Jade, and she's at the helm of the controls, that's where Jade Helm comes from. You could find this Jade system in every military Humvee, helicopter tank, jet, battleship, every data center, or every data farm and centers. And so the military was actually trying to hide and run from Jade 2, which is like their AI system, to see how long they could evade Jade. Like, it was all about trying to see, how I imagine it is they're programming their computer systems to understand how to chase civilians who are trying to escape from the New World Order. And that there's probably a combination of military personnel and robot Jade systems that will work together as our first AI takeover by them. And when I was reading about it, it reminded me a lot about, like, the computer, the system in the movie Eagle Eye. She can control everything. She could think for herself. I know, Aaron, you haven't seen it, but that was the vibe I got.
I'll have to see it.
I think we should do an episode on Jade Helm 15 and dig into this, because this was actually very compelling. I have a video I'm going to link to put up. It will kind of blow your mind. So first 2 minutes, you're not going to want to stop watching.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that, and then we'll have to discuss it more.
Yeah, for sure. So that's a lot of the main information. I think now's a good time to go into strange facts and findings. So Dan, do you want to start us off with what we have under that list?
Yes, I will. Did you know, in the past, we in America have detained people that had done nothing wrong to deserve it? These camps were the Japanese relocation camps. They have the capability to house and feed people who become displaced outside of their control. During World War II, they were used to imprison Japanese American people under an executive order made by FDR. Roosevelt decided that all Japanese Americans in the country were suspect and could be potential spies. I know 2 of these camps were positioned in Sheridan, Oregon. These are now supposed FEMA camps, but they were the Japanese internment camps, and recently another one was found in Umatilla.
I worked with an individual named Rick. He was half Japanese. His father was full Japanese. He told me when he was a little boy when they took him to the relocation camp whenever Pearl Harbor happened, but they didn't take his mother because his mother was American and white, but his father was Japanese. They took his father, and his grandparents on his father's side all to this camp, and he had to stay there. And he was like, it was just he said it wasn't that bad. It was just the camp he was at wasn't that bad. And he stayed there, but he doesn't remember much from it because he was a little kid.
Wow.
So I was like, man, that's fucked up. That you didn't do anything wrong, and you get ordered. They were all suspect and could be potential spies. You know how well that would go over now? Absolutely not well at all.
No.
It's just another judging people by their race. They had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, it's messed up. Anyways, so I know all of this information is kind of like overload, and you're probably thinking the government may not have the power to do all of this stuff. Well, like we mentioned earlier, they actually kind of do. These executive orders that Anna happened to find that detailed the power the government has. So, Dan, you want to start us off with that?
Yeah. Executive Order 10990 allows the government to take over all modes of transportation and control of highways and seaports. Then you got Executive Order 10995, allows the government to seize and control the communication media. Then Executive Order 10997 allows the government to take over all electrical power, gas, petroleum, fuels, and minerals.
So I'm just going to say the number of the executive order because they're all called executive ordered followed by a number. So this one's 10998. It allows the government to seize all means of transportation, including personal cars, trucks, or vehicles of any kind, and total control over highways, seaports, and waterways. 10999 10999994257. All right. I'm trying to be funny, guys. 1099 there are. Allows the government to take over all food resources and farms. 11000 allows the government to mobilize civilians into work brigades under government supervision.
Executive Order 11001 allows the government to take over all health, education, and welfare functions. 11002 designates the Postmaster General to operate a national registration of all persons. 11003 allows the government to take over all airports and aircraft, including commercial aircraft.
Order 11004 allows the Housing and Finance Authority to relocate communities, build new housing with public funds, designate areas to be abandoned, and establish new locations for populations. 11005 allows the government to take over railroads, inland waterways, and public storage facilities.
So the last two we have here are Executive Order 11051, which specifies the responsibility of the Office of Emergency Planning and gives authorization to put all executive orders into effect in times of increased international tensions and economic or financial crisis. That's scary for going through Corona right now. They could do this shit if they wanted.
Yep.
Realistically, so watch yourself. And last one is Order 11310, which grants authority to the Department of Justice to enforce the plans set out in executive orders, to institute industrial support, to establish judicial and legislative liaison, to control all aliens, to operate penal and correctional institutions, and to advise and assist the president. There were a lot more, and so I didn't choose them all, but Some of this stuff is in plain sight. I even went to FEMA's page and clicked on their